One of the very first things I started to work on consciously with my own personal development was to improve my outlook on life. An attitude that would over time become more and more stable so that I could not only look at the world in a positive way during good days, but also so I could stay positive and constructive even during tough times and keep working towards something better. I hope you will find something helpful here. 1. Find the optimistic viewpoint in a negative situation. One of the simplest but most effective ways to build a more positive outlook has in my experience been to ask for helpful questions as often as possible. When I am in what seems like a negative situation, maybe I have made a mistake, I failed or stumbled in some kind of way, then I like to ask myself questions. What is one thing that is positive or good about this situation? What is one opportunity within the situation? Doing so is a whole lot better than what I used to do in such situations, because back then I usually asked myself how much I wanted to do things and how things could manage to get done. I do, however, not always use these questions right away. Oftentimes I need a bit of time to process the thoughts and feelings that arise in a situation before I can do that. Trying to force optimistic thinking when you are still in an emotional mood or a bit shocked usually don't work that well. Second thing, cultivate and live in a positive environment. Who you choose to spend your time with and the input you get from further away, like the TV, the internet, magazines, people will have a huge effect on your outlook. To be able to stay positive, it is essential to have influences in your life that support you and lift you up instead of dragging you down. So carefully consider what you let into your mind. You can, for example, ask yourself, what are the three most negative, or what are the three of the most negative sources of information I spend time on? If you do, then change that. Change that into something positive. Consider the answers and think about how you can start spending less time on information or influences, if that is the case. Um, Third, go slowly. I found that when you go too fast and when you try to think, talk, eat, and move around in your own world really quickly, then things don't go too well because stress builds up. Negative thoughts about just about anything start to well up and you feel like your own personal power decreases. But if you slow down just for a few minutes, even if you have to force it by walking, talking, and eating slower, then your mind and body calms down too. It becomes easier to think things through clearly again and easier to find the optimistic and constructive perspective. Fourth thing, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. It's very easy to lose perspective, especially if you are stressed and you're going too fast. And so a molehill can become a big and terrifying mountain in your mind. A simple 3 ways to handle these situations so they don't get out of hand is to say stop in your mind, um, or no, we are not going down the path again as soon as the thoughts of this kind starts to spin in your head. Breathe after you've been disrupted the thoughts by shouting stop. Sit down and just be still. Breathe with your belly and focus on just your in breaths and out breaths for a minute or two to calm your mind and body down. Refocus. Question your mountain building thoughts by talking to someone close to you and getting a more grounded perspective on the situation by just venting or by getting his or her input. Or simply ask this to widen your perspective and to chill out. Will this matter in 5 years or even 5 weeks? Don't let vague fears hold you back from doing what you want. That's a big thing. Sometimes you may want to take a chance in life, start a new habit that feels unfamiliar, your own business on the side, or ask someone out to go out with you. A common trap when you want to do one of those things is to get lost in vague fears about what could happen if you actually took action. And so the mind runs wild, fueled by fear, and it creates nightmare scenarios. I know that happens. So that's why it takes practice. And so I wanted to ask myself this honestly: what is the worst that could happen? And when you figure that out, I also spend a bit of time trying to figure out what I could do if that often pretty unlikely thing happens. And over the years, you are able to train your mind and find clarity in this way, it doesn't take much time or effort, and it can help you to avoid much mind-made suffering and help you get going, step outside of your comfort zone, and take that chance. The sixth thing is to add value and positivity to someone else's life. So what you send out, you tend to get back from the world and the people in it. Not from everyone and not every time, but what you send out there matters a whole lot. What you give them and how you treat them is what you'll get back, and the way you treat others and how you think of them also tend to have a big effect on how you treat and think about yourself. So give value and spread the positivity by, for example, helping out, lend a hand when moving, give a friend a ride in your car, or if he or she needs information, then help by checking it up on Google or just asking a friend of yours. Just listening. Sometimes people don't want any direct help. They just want someone to be there fully and listening as they've been for a little while. Boosting the mood, smile, like give hugs when appropriate, playing uplifting music when hanging out with a friend, or suggest an inspiring movie for your movie night. Or encourage when someone has had a bad day or are going through a tough time. Seventh thing, exercise regularly and eat and sleep well. This is very obvious, of course, but I know the big impact a good night's sleep or a good workout can have when my thoughts are um, not lined up to where I would want them to be. And you know how much simpler it is to think clearly and optimistically when your belly is not empty. So I highly recommend being careful about these basic habits. They may sound boring because they do have a huge effect either way, depending on how you manage them. 8. Learn to take criticism in a healthy way. One of the most common fears is the fear of criticism. It can hold people back from doing what they want in life because having negativity flowing out of someone's mouth or email and it being about you can hurt, and being rejected can sting quite a bit. But if you want to take action or on what you deep down want, then criticism is pretty much unavoidable. So the key is learning to handle it in a healthier way. By doing so, your fear of it will lessen and it will hurt less if you do get criticized. I usually use 4 steps when that happens, so maybe they can help you out too. Step 1, don't reply right away. When you're angry, upset, or riled up, then it's time to calm down a bit before you reply. Take at least a couple of deep breaths or a little time to process the message before you respond. Step 2, really listen to the criticism. Try to remain open and level-headed and figure out how this message can help you. Ask yourself, is there one thing I can learn from this criticism? Is there something here that I may not want to hear but could help me? Step 3, remember that the criticism isn't always about you. Some criticism is helpful, some is simply attacks or someone lashing out because they're having a bad day, year, or your job. To lessen the sting of such criticism, often really get angry or overcritical in an unconstructive way. Just try to be understanding and think to yourself that this person may not be feeling good at the moment. And step 4, reply or let go. No matter the content of, for example, an email, or you try to keep your reply level-headed and kind, you may add a question or two to get more specific feedback that is helpful. And if they don't reply or you get simply gotten a nasty attack, then it's time to delete it and let that situation go. If something still gets under your skin, then know what to do. Sometimes something can still get under your skin and hurt you, and even if you use the steps above, um, like while listening, I mean, 2 things that have helped me with that challenge are to let it out. Just letting that issue out into the light, talking it over with someone can be very helpful to see if it for what it actually is and to find a healthier perspective on the situation. Improve your self-esteem. I found over the years that with a stronger self-esteem, things drag you down less and they don't ruin your day as much anymore. So negativity from others bounces off much more often instead. If you want to start your day in a positive way, then you just have to try and keep focusing on the right thing. How you start your day usually sets the tone for the rest of your day. So be careful about how you spend your mornings if you're going get going at full speed, lost in future troubles in your mind, and the stress, perceived loss of power over your life and negative thoughts will ramp up quickly. If you, on the other hand, start your day by moving slowly, by having an uplifting conversation with a family or friend, or you spend some time with reading or listening to inspiring and helpful articles or podcasts over breakfast or during the bus ride to work, then that can make a big difference for how your whole day will go. And the 11th thing is mindfully move through your day. When you spend your time in the present moment, then it becomes so much easier to access positive emotions and to stay practical about what you can actually do about something in your life. And that's pretty much it. So just try to stay positive as